So I finally sat down after my 6-hour race this weekend and thought through the lessons that I learned. I haven't done any race in years, any kind of race. I think I did the Pikes Peak Ascent, which is a half marathon up Pikes Peak here in Colorado Springs. But that was in 2016. I was happy to get out and do this 6-hour race because you never know what issues you're going to run into before or during a race. And I ran into some, and I'd rather encounter them now, on a low key race than on my Double Everesting attempt later this summer, which is the most important thing for me this year. Number one, plan my food better. I brought enough food, but I didn't have an exact plan. And in the excitement of the race, I ended up just not eating 2 of my bars. Didn't come back to bite me too bad, but I don't take that as a sign that I don't need to plan. I think in the future, if I don't eat, a few times, that is really going to harm me on the Double Everesting. I'll be potentially out there for 48 hours or more, and I'm going to need to find a way to get food in. And if I just forget because I'm a little too excited or delirious or whatever it is, that's going to hurt me. So I need to plan that. I think what I'll probably do is really portion out the food I'm going to have into individual baggies, and I'm going to mark them that I eat them at this time. I don't want to have to think about it because I found that whenever I was coming into the aid station often, my mind was starting to go a little bit. It's like if you've ever tried to do math at the end of a long run, it doesn't work. You just aren't thinking that clearly. So I just need to take the thinking out of it. Towards that end, I will say that fluids went down wonderfully. I never forgot them. And so in the end, I might just end up using a lot of Tailwind Nutrition. That's the powder that I use it's about 200 calories. That went down really easy for me. So that might turn out to be my primary method of calorie intake. Number 2, nail down a pre-race routine. So I was there an hour early for this 6-hour race, and yet I was totally aimless. I was just walking around. I'm not sure what I was doing. What I think happened is I was way more nervous than I thought I was going to be. I got the jitters. I got the nerves. And so my mind kind of shut down a little bit. I somehow didn't warm up at all. Now, it's not like for these really long events, a 6-hour run or the Double Everesting later, that I need to do a 2-mile jog beforehand. But, a few lunges, maybe some skips, different drills. It's not just the logistics of warming up my body. It's also a reduction of anxiety and an issue of mindset. The lack of a plan for me on that day during the 6-hour run, caused a lot of unnecessary anxiety in me. I wasn't sure what I was doing, and then the time was frittering away, and so I started to get a little anxious and nervous, which is not a good feeling. That probably releases cortisol or something not good into your body when you should be relaxed. So I really need to develop a routine, and then I need to practice it before some future long days so that I know what to do come the Double Everesting. Number 3, nail down aid station routine. It's very similar to the previous one, but it's very specific. I noticed that whenever I'd come into the aid stations, I took longer than most everyone else. I'd come in with 2 people, and I'd see those 2 people leave, and I'd be there for another 5 minutes. I'm not sure exactly why. I wasn't intentionally resting or anything. I never sat down until the last hour of the race. But because I didn't have a plan, I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do, everything just took longer. So I need to have a plan. Maybe that's just, I'm going to fill up both bottles. I'm going to slam down one of them. I'm going to refill that one. I'm going to put both of them back into my vest. I'm going to open up a bar, and I'm going to then take off. Whatever that routine is, it's fine, but I just need to know what it is so that I'm not wasting a bunch of time. You know, on the Double Everesting, you hear people say that, you know, minutes, a few extra minutes each stopping time can really add up. So on the hill that I'm doing out in Telluride, Colorado, I've done the math, and I think it's going to be roughly 34 times up, and then I'll ride the gondola down. So that's 34 potential stops and aid station stops and stops to eat. So you take an extra 10 minutes each time or extra 5 minutes each time. That could add up to, an hour or two. So I really need to nail that down. Number 4, bring more socks than I think. I brought 2 pairs for the 6-hour race, and both of them got soaking wet. Thankfully I had no blisters, but I don't think I would be that lucky if my feet get wet on the Double Everesting, because that's going to be not 6 hours, but maybe 48 hours or more. And so that is going to, that could really derail things. Just to be smart, I should bring 10 pairs of socks and just have them ready. Even if it's not raining, I'm going to want to put on a fresh pair of socks at some point. So my shoes were amazing. The gaiters that I wore were amazing. They were probably the game changer for the whole thing. I never had a rock at all in my shoe. So that was fantastic. But more socks. I need more socks. Number 5, I need to train my crew. Now, I didn't have a crew at this 6-hour race because I probably didn't really need one. But things that happened at the race made me recognize that I will need a crew and that they need to know exactly what I need. I missed a few eating times. It didn't come back to bite me too bad in the race. But again, if I do that a few times in the Double Everesting and it starts to add up my calorie deficit, and all of a sudden I'm 1,000 calories short of probably what I need, that could really just put the brakes on the whole thing. So I am going to need my crew, which is primarily my wife, but also some other family members and friends, to know what I need, even if I'm too delirious to ask for it. So you need to know what that routine is for the crew, because I might not be with it enough to ask for that when it's 30 hours in. Number 6, monitor my body, but don't freak out. So in the 6-hour race, I had some small pains that kept ping-ponging around my body. At first, it was my right calf. It was pretty sore. First, it started as a dull ache, then it felt sharper. And then both of my hips hurt. And then finally my lower back.
Back is working.
And every time one of these things came up, because I haven't done a race in a long time, I kind of freaked out. I dwelled on it, and I probably again injected my body with some cortisol from the stress that wasn't necessary, because if I had just waited 15, 20, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, all of these things kind of subsided. Or maybe they got subsumed by an even greater pain in a different part of my body, but I don't care. I'm now 2 days out from the 6-hour race, and yeah, I'm really sore in a lot of places, and I'm walking downstairs in a very awkward way, but I'm not injured. None of those things turned out to be any sort of injury. They're things I need to monitor, but I don't need to freak out about them unless they linger and grow. So if something comes up, calmly say yes, recognize it, and then let it go for a bit, and just watch it and see if it gets worse, then yes, of course, address it. But more than likely, it will just fade away. My final lesson, I don't know if it's a lesson, it's more of a question. Do I need more core work? So everything was tired at the end of this race, but my lower back was the worst. It wasn't even close. So much so that I started to slump a little as the fatigue set in. I mean, it was actually a little hard for me to stand upright. And if that's happening after only 6 hours, I wonder what will happen when I am attempting to, climb a hill over and over enough to gain elevation equal to 2 Mount Everests. That feels like a larger task and something that might fatigue me even more. Maybe it was just a matter of doing so much running when I haven't done a lot of running. I've done lower impact, incline treadmill walking or stair climber, which just doesn't pound your body as much as running. And so maybe the 6 hours of mostly running wore me out in a different way. But I will address it with my PT Matt, and we'll come up with a plan, whatever that is.